Good morning, Twin Cities. We're here on Garfield Avenue, and I want to show you what New Spaces did with this 1920s gem of a craftsman. These homes are really beautiful with a lot of character. The problem is today the kitchens, dining rooms may not be set up the way we want to live. Here's how we changed it. I'm going to walk you through this property, and I'm going to take you through a 20s craftsman that has the very typical front living room with the fireplace right as you enter into the home. After that, it takes us to a dining area, and then the kitchen sits to the back of the home. The major moves that you may not pick up on immediately in this project is the dining room wall and the kitchen wall were both pushed out by approximately 2 feet. We call this very effective addition a cantilever addition that pushes out the side of the home, the side wall, without having a foundation underneath it. The strategy we use here is we take your first floor platform and we extend the floor joist. So we really hang the addition outside of the existing foundation. Very effective way of getting a critical 2 feet to this kitchen. But let's face it, this kitchen in its original state was made for a 1920s family. We live a little bit differently today. The width here allowed us for critical room and clearance in this little space. I want you to see the before plan, which you'll see on the screen here. We had a tiny kitchen that operated in this area right here. The connection to the dining room was a 30-inch opening between the dining room and the kitchen. No sight lines front to back of home. What we've done here is we've let the natural light flow freely, and we now have a much stronger connection between the dining room and the kitchen here. When we work on these older Minneapolis homes, we want to be careful to maintain all the architectural features of the home. One example here is our trim detail around the windows, that we match the existing stool and apron trim detail as you see over here. And you also see we used back band, and what we're doing is we're creating a window design and a trim design exactly the way you would have seen it in the 1920s. What you see right here in the doorway opening is we put a little bit of a table area that you can pull chairs around. We can set out wine, cheese, plus when Melanie bakes, this is where that magic happens. This is one of the pieces that we see in these period homes. It is a built-in buffet that we actually took from the kitchen dining room common wall and we moved it out to the side wall. This was a piece that was so incredibly important to both Melanie and TJ that we said we don't want to give it up. We want to make sure that this built-in buffet actually got replicated and just moved. We did not want to give it up. So these are some of the key moves that we sometimes do with our homeowners to keep something of the original build, but maybe move it, reconfigure it. We built the window design around it, which is appropriate to the style and the era. You see 2 transom windows above the buffet, and because we added cabinetry on the kitchen wall, we also want to make sure that we keep enough window and natural light on what we have as the south elevation of this home. I'm going to point to the kitchen and the fridge wall over here. In the old kitchen, this was Melanie's and TJ's pantry wall, and this is where the coffee maker sat. The fridge was located right here on the cooktop. Range wall is now placed over here, and we have much more generous countertop space on both sides of the cooktop. Take a look at the trim details, for instance. We honor the oak that was the predominant trim material wood species in these Craftsmen. The same trim detail with backband was introduced in this new remodel, the same stuff you would have seen in 1922. Where you have your range cooktop, you want to be able to have generous drops on both sides of it. This way, when you're cooking, you have places where to put things and you don't feel so cramped. The appliance package in this home is a Thermador fridge, extremely roomy and can house everything that this family needs to house in it. Another feature which is kind of fun and also a custom piece of the design is our backsplash. This is a handmade custom tile, a local producer here in the Twin Cities. And it brings the color green that Melanie absolutely loved and wanted to honor in this project as well. We have a flush hearth by a wood-burning fireplace. This hearth tile is the same handmade custom tile that we use as the backsplash. This is a way for our team to find the elements that are really important to our homeowner and introduce them in various areas that tie the entire design together. Very simple way of having a fireplace update without tearing everything out and starting over. We simply made it a more prominent part of the overall design by that little move. What you see is a very appropriate cabinetry selection. So we have a framed door and we have a quarter sawn oak product. We have some secret storage solutions. And this just as an example of what we can do with our custom cabinetry maker to find space in the space plan to allow for a better storage plan. For Melanie and TJ, storage in a smaller kitchen was really important. As far as the windows go, we have selected the Marvin Signature Line window, which shows the appropriate scale, and all the parts and pieces would represent the same style of window that we had here in 1922 when the home was built. You see all quartz countertops, but you see a delineation between the breakfast bar and the sink cabinet. This has a more energetic movement and veining compared to this one. So it specifies two different functions and two different utilities. Oftentimes, our design team comes up with really creative ways of creating features in our work. This tile niche on the range wall is one example. So you see a slightly different orientation of the pieces and the size of the pieces compared to the field tile on both sides. Again, this is a custom handmade tile from one of our local providers here in the Minneapolis area. This little niche can also function as a ledge for your oils and for your spices. All of the details of this project were well thought out by our design team and honoring the original architecture in 1922. This is what a Craftsman can look like in 2022 with a little bit more space, with a little bit better connection between the dining and the kitchen and the front living room areas, and help us live in these homes like we want to today in 2022.